Jason vs. Michael is finally here, the 13th episode of the season releasing on Halloween. What a wacky coincidence. It's almost like they planned this or something. This has been one of my most anticipated episodes in an already stacked season, which was initially just because it was new stuff and a huge rivalry, but during the waiting periods I actually gained some personal stakes in all this. I ended up watching the original Halloween, Jason Lives, and Jason Takes Manhattan in a call with some friends. Two really good and fun movies, and also Jason Takes Manhattan.
Whoa, hold on! When you think of two films that brought the terror to Manhattan, Jason did it way better than the Muppets. Let's get that straight.
No way, it's Galaxy Video Max, the #1 Jason Takes Manhattan, Kenny.
What is this? Some kind of crossover episode? Hello everyone, it's me, Max, here to co-review this episode of Death Battle with Biffweed. This was a match I had been anticipating for a long time. As a huge horror fan, I've been wanting to see horror movies get discussed on the show for a while, to the point that I even made my own video discussing 13 potential horror matches they could do.
This episode had big shoes to fill, especially coming off the back of this season's mostly stellar lineup. How well did it do? Well, let's start off with the analysis.
I love the analysis for Jason and Michael so much. It's great to hear them analyze these horror icons, and the debate over Jason's teleportation was pretty great. Wiz subscribes to the old Matt Pat theory, it seems.
The teleportation debate was my favourite part of Jason's rundown for sure. I think it was actually handled very well in the previews with where they cut it off, since they never solidly said if they believed it until the full episode, and Michael's preview didn't have any mention of it. That made the speculation on whether they'd include it a lot more interesting, and it also gave us the phrase teleportation deniers in the conclusion, which I just find very amusing.
The way they used comic panels throughout the episode was great. I especially loved it in Michael's analysis where we see him staring at the moon through the bars. Also, props for showing off the comic where Jason fights hell itself. That's pretty obscure.
The comic editing's good, though it doesn't stand out as much compared to others this season. Which makes total sense, you can't be expecting them to pull out crazy edits constantly in every episode. What does stand out about this analysis though is the setting. Instead of it being the standard affair of Wiz and Boomstick doing their shtick in their office, this time it's the whole gang gathered around a campfire as Wiz and Boomstick do the rundowns as if they were telling ghost stories. They even change up their usual introductory and pre-battle catchphrases. I think it adds a lot to the tone and lets it stand apart from most others in the series.
Also, this may be a strange thing to note in a Death Battle episode, but the music used during the analysis for both Jason and Michael was great. They chose some good tracks for them, and they do a good job complementing the clips being shown. I found that the clip of Michael's iconic head tilt was a real standout.
And generally, both rundowns served as solid coverage of the characters, with some neat cutaway gags as the hosts get picked off one by one. Not really much to say. It's just a fun pair of analyses in general, with a good atmosphere and some funnies, and every time they showed footage of that one movie, I threw up in my mouth a little. Not a personal favourite of mine, but I enjoyed it a lot.
Stop dissing on Jason Takes Manhattan! He was there for 5 whole minutes! What more do you want?
For the Muppets to be there instead. Anyway, we should talk about the fight now.
Those little bastards don't know true comedy. Not like my boy Jason! Anyways, the fight does start off pretty solid. I like getting to see Michael's POV for a kill. That had to happen somewhere. And it seems pretty natural to have them both killing teenagers until they come across each other and try to take the other out. Michael appearing through the shadows to stab Jason was great.
Yeah, this setup is basically perfect for what this match is, building a suspenseful atmosphere as Michael disappears between shots to catch Jason by surprise. Pamela's opening monologue is pretty good, and these two both stumbling across the same victim to kill was always going to be how this inevitably started. Though I'll be honest, I kinda wish this was the only NPC we saw them go after, because after one brief scuffle where Michael comes out on top, the majority of the rest of the animation is dedicated to Michael tracking down this kid, and then Jason joining in later, really playing into my least favourite aspect of slasher movies and crossover versus movies in general, huh?
Ugh, just like a horror movie to spend too much time on boring human characters when all we really want to see is the monsters. I can't decide if this was an intentional joke or not, but it's still definitely a downside to the animation. We spend way too much time with this guy and his weird facial expressions, and his time at the goated gravestone. I like the idea of having several teenagers get killed off in the animation, but with only around 3 minutes, the fight gives us barely any time with Jason and Michael. I think it would have been better to kill them all at the start so we'd have more time.
And I know what Ben said during that Discord community clash. Hell, we were both in that call when he said it, that this fight would be more focused on horror than action. And yeah, I think that's a great idea. More unique tones in these animations, please. That does wonders to help stuff stand out. But the thing is, I think the focus should have stayed on Jason and Michael as they built on that atmosphere. When they're focusing on a background character that isn't even tangentially related to either of the slashers people are there to see, I lose interest. Like, there are good ideas at play here, but they all have an asterisk next to them. The POV shot as Michael skulks around off screen would have been great if it was Jason's POV and not the kid's. Same goes with Jason stabbing the guy through the tombstone. Cool stuff, but I also do not care because Michael is just standing and watching it happen in the background.
I will say, for me at least, I think the fight picks back up at the graveyard after the teen gets killed. Michael smashing a tombstone onto Jason reminds me of his move in Terrordrome, and I like how Jason essentially has a second wind after being motivated by his mother to try harder. Jason was kind of on the back foot during the fight, with Michael coming out on top in their initial encounter, pinning Jason to a tree, which was a great idea as well. Then they sort of scuffle off screen and we don't really know who's taking the lead, but by the time of Jason's comeback, Michael is taking the lead again. It's only when Pamela gives Jason a pep talk like Mickey from Rocky that he's able to turn the tables.
That's kind of a double-edged sword in my opinion. Like, Jason hearing his mother and finding the strength to push back and take Michael out is a neat concept, and I do like Michael trying to stomp his head into the axe, but with how Jason doesn't fight back much before, coupled with how little we actually get to see of their interactions on screen, it does sort of come across as Jason not really trying for most of it, and then bodying Michael in 3 hits the instant he feels like it. Michael is supposed to be this unstoppable monster just like Jason, but the first big hit we see Jason land has Michael shaking like this, and then he just dies. I will say though, the kill itself is decent. Not one of the season's standout showings like I was hoping, but Jason powering through a stab to the face and then decapitating Michael with his own weapon is pretty cool. I can't believe evil died tonight.
It also looks like Jason was using the wrong side of Michael's knife, which I believe is an actual reference to the Friday films, since Jason has a tendency to use the wrong side of his machete for kills. I thought that was neat, assuming it wasn't a fuck-up.
Honestly, it's more of a power move than anything for Jason to intentionally get the killing blow with the side of the knife that's supposed to be safe to touch. I like that he follows up by chopping Michael's head against the tombstone, and then he walks away for a shot that lasts longer than the total amount of time he spent in Manhattan.
He was in Manhattan a long time! It's just that we got to visit the beautiful landmarks most of the time, like the drug alleys, and the sewers that flood with toxic waste every night.
There are a couple more things I wanted to bring up before we close things off. Like, for one, the limited fighting we do have has a bit of that SFM jank that's kind of unavoidable with the software. It's mostly not too bad, but there are a couple shots like Jason throwing the axe that look distractingly stiff. I'll get more into that in a second though, because unsurprisingly, the community response to all that is deeply upsetting for like the 5th time this season. What really sinks the limited action for me though is the camera movements. Towards the end it's fine, but near the start it's awful. I can barely even see what's happening, and the way this shot is framed makes it look like Jason pulled this body out of thin air.
Yeah, the weird movements were pretty distracting for me. I remember it looking kind of goofy when the teenager opens the car door and briefly becomes a Looney Tunes character. And when Jason is choking the teenager, Michael stabs him, prompting Jason to zip off like a cartoon. It's so weird to see him moving that fast. I would have preferred slower movements that had more impact, so you could feel it more when one of them gets stabbed.
Yeah, the atmosphere it's trying to build really takes a hit when you have stuff like Jason doing the any percent speedrun for getting stabbed, this kid's expression before Michael chops him in the back, or how he takes that superhuman axe swing in stride and then starts running even faster. It's really silly, which probably works for one of Jason's movies, but not for a scene focusing on the more relatively grounded Michael, or for this fight in general. I think it has a lot of things going for it, like the very solid track and cool POV shots, but I don't think they're pulled off as well as other episodes. I think in terms of ambiance, Carnage vs. Lucy is an example of a creepy atmosphere done a lot better. Hell, even Venom vs. Krona committed to it better. Boba Fett vs. Predator I think had a cooler use of POV shots near the start. Red Hood vs. Winter Soldier and Snake vs. Sam did the whole game of cat and mouse with the characters disappearing a lot better. Generally, there's not a whole lot this animation does for me that isn't an inferior version of what another better episode does. And also Venom vs. Krona. I do prefer this episode to that one.
I do like a lot of the background details. Like how Jason got pinned to the tree, but when the teenager runs back to the same tree, Jason just isn't there, but the knife still is. The teen running past the axe instead of grabbing it for himself was also a classic dumb horror movie character decision, which I believe was intentional. There are some nice little things in here that I didn't catch on my first viewing.
Yeah, this obviously had a lot of passion put into it, and I don't want to discredit that. Believe me, the community has done that enough. The amount of people trying to put this episode down and wishing Torian was back instead is a little sad. Torian is immensely talented, don't get me wrong, but the sentiment that any 3D fight he isn't on is automatically worse rubs me the wrong way. It's the exact same shit that happened to the Sprite team last season whenever they got something that, quote, should have been 3D or hand-drawn. That goes double for everyone crying that this episode wasn't live action. That could have been cool, but the fact that it didn't happen means it likely wasn't even on the table. Dislike it all you want, but don't have a go at Devil Artemis for it. The man is incredibly talented. Excalibur vs. Raiden's a banger. He's responsible for some of my favourite shots in Ganon vs. Dracula, which is one of my favourite episodes ever. And his segment for Saitama vs. Popeye kept up that episode's amazing level of quality. I suspect this one might have been a victim of circumstance given the personal life issues he's been tweeting about recently. So yeah, TLDR, criticize the episode all you want, just don't be a dick about it.
In the end, I likened this episode to an actual horror movie. A cheesy 80s horror movie that's clearly flawed, but I love it anyways because the good stuff really delivers. The analysis is still genuinely great, and the animation has goofy moments that I can have an ironic laugh at, and then some actual cool moments thrown in. I can describe a lot of 80s horror like that. Ironic laughs followed by actually cool shit. I will also say that my opinion on this episode may have been slightly influenced by the 2 weeks leading up to it. Those 2 weeks have been my favorite waiting period for any death battle. Not only was I able to watch the original Halloween and Friday the 13th Part 6 and Manhattan with my friends, but I was able to take part in the Death Battle Discord's community event surrounding this episode. Playing Friday the 13th the game with Ben and Nick was great, and I even got to play as Jason at the end of it. That was fun. I also got to create a prediction video with Nemesis and Ecto. I had so much fun talking about horror movies with those guys. That helps me enjoy this episode a little more.
I enjoyed the lead up for the episode as well. It got me into these two series and the discussions around the characters were a lot of fun. But the fight didn't do much for me sadly. A good setup, a good track, a good kill, and some background details are unfortunately let down by a really unfocused fight, with a lot of awkward movements from both the characters and camera. Ultimately ending with more of a feeling of, oh, that was it, given how little time the characters actually got to spend interacting. At the end of the day though, you liked it Max, and that's about all that matters to me given the investment you had in it. For me personally though, I'm feeling a 5 out of 10, and that is mainly carried by the analysis. Still though, we're yet to have an episode this season that I outright dislike, and I really hope that keeps up until the end.
I hope other horror fans can get into it too. If horror fans can trick themselves into liking Halloween Ends, anything is possible. But seriously folks, I give this episode an 8 out of 10 for an amazing analysis and the fact that I got a lot of enjoyment out of the animation, ironic or not. Then again, I'm a Jason Takes Manhattan apologist, so what do I know?
You know what I don't know though? Who the hell this guy is in the next time? Seriously, how am I supposed to know who this character is? He's not from a comic or shonen anime. Lich King though, that guy is my goat. Mostly I've rooted for a character all season. For real though, I'm excited for new stuff and these characters look cool. I just don't have any personal connection to them. Basically exactly what Jason vs. Michael was to me 3 weeks ago. This is just the guy from Lego Batman versus the guy who shows up in ads when I open Letterboxd sometimes.
Oh yeah! Sauron vs. Lich King sweep, baby! Can't wait to see the Big Eye fight who I initially confused for the villain of Adventure Time. Go get him, Sauron! Bring it home!
I mean, it could be worse. You could confuse this game with League of Legends every time you hear him brought up. Now we just gotta wrap things up, so go plug whatever other horror movie matches you want, Max. Assuming people haven't already seen the video you did.
Well, Freddy vs. Pennywise and Chucky vs. Slappy are the big boys. But I also want Ash Williams vs. Herbert West to get more attention. I love that matchup.
All of these sound like a lot of fun. Freddy vs. Pennywise especially could get really weird and trippy, though I do like the sounds of the more relatively grounded Ash vs. Herbert and Chucky vs. Slappy. Can't wait for them to do none of those next year, and instead do the one we've all been waiting for, Jason vs. Killer Croc.
Dear God.
Now sounds like a good time to close things off. Thanks to Max for joining me. His social medias will be linked in the description, as will Nem's review, which you should also watch. All that's left is the highlight reel, so go watch that, and one last jab at Jason Takes Manhattan for the road, why not? Kind of a bad movie, not gonna lie, Wiz.
You son of a bitch.
We are now recording.
Alright.
Jason Michael!
Yeah, this
Jason
is
Michael!
a smaller group than I was expecting.
Whoa, whoa!
Whoa! Oh.
What?
Okay.
Let's
Whoa.
go.
That, I dig this. That's
I
Oh,
like
that's
that.
cool.
Oh God.
that was a
There
good
he
way
is.
to start.
There they are.
Nick.
There they are.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so
What's me?
excited.
Buried but not dead. That's okay.
Oh,
that's
new
the
blood
right quote.
monologue. Jason X.
Yeah.
Is that Uber Jason in 2455?
Yeah, that's a Jason X reference.
Let's go, Uber Jason, Michael.
Yeah, Uber Jason.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've not seen Jason X. I feel like I should clarify that, but I doubt it could be worse than Jason Takes
No,
Manhattan.
Jason X is fun. It's not a good movie, but it's fun. I like it.
Yeah, everyone's gonna come in at the last second and finish off Michael Myers.
Yeah. Oh no, she's dead. Who can continue on the franchise?
She should have been more marketable,
Yeah, true. She didn't wear a funny mask.
but you can run him over
We're
just
already
fine.
here.
Yeah, if you run him over, you'll be fine.
Yeah, run him
Okay,
over. He's
yeah.
out for like 2 minutes.
I like how they're treating this
Yeah,
like a
the
fucking-
worm.
Oh yeah, let's go. Worm. I really like how they're framing this like some sort of scary campfire story. That's
Yes.
so cool.
Oh, all the
Just leave it
weapons.
there.
Basically anything.
Oh, here we go.
No,
Oh,
Jason Takes Manhattan again. No. Arsenal, basically anything.
Takes Manhattan
Stop
again.
showing Jason
Yeah.
Takes Manhattan footage.
Manhattan.
No, it's awesome.
Yes, teleporting. Actually,
Where's it just Matt Pat? I can't believe this.
he almost
What-
died again.
Is
Right, this is
There's
the
so much
where the
Manhattan
preview ends, so I don't
footage.
actually know
Fucking
what
Manhattan.
the conclusion
I
is
hate
they
this
come to.
fucking
so much Manhattan.
That's a feat.
He's blind now.
Oh no.
oh, he's gonna bring up the game.
I wonder if we played this game before.
Oh no.
Don't
are
we
they,
just
are they,
get-
Oh, no.
are they all chasing
Oh,
gonna die one
no.
by one? Oh,
Wait, what if
play
the
too
killer's
bad. Who do you think is
Deadpool?
gonna- I
What if
think-
Watch
Deadpool's
it be
the killer?
Deadpool.
Yeah, it's Deadpool. Deadpool's killer.
I bet Wingmaster's gonna die next.
Oh shit.
Oh my
I guess- I
fucking
guess
god!
they all
They're
bring it
actually
up,
bringing him up.
Ah!
Woo.
Ah!
Oh,
Hey,
this
that
is
guy.
so cool.
Yo.
Oh, I love that.
Oh,
That was good. That
That
was
was so
real good.
good.
Now evil will die tonight. Look at this.
Yeah, Evil
Oh,
dies
get the
tonight, I'm
comics from
afraid.
Michael.
Beneath the
Alright.
mask lies the scars.
Shut up, Biff.
Well, that's what the point of the mask is, so.
Biff, fuck you.
You literally made Rob
What,
versus
what,
Alex.
what a little rascal that Michael.
Yeah, Michael's a funny guy.
Yeah, what a little scamp giving up to his quirky antics. Michael Myers is shorter than Ducko.
Ducko could take him.
Michael Myers' ass.
Oh, Ducko could absolutely take Michael Myers.
Oh, they're taking the sister out. Oh, get fucked.
Also, we're
2018
going with the
trilogy.
foreign timeline. He's got the most shit for Michael, anyways.
Just
I
like
really
Jason.
like the music we're playing here.
Yeah, I love this music. The music they had for Jason was
Mhm.
great, and this is good for Michael.
This music over the head tilt. I
No.
don't know, that tickles my brain in a funny way.
Mhm.
Anything else he can get his hands on.
Someone must have given him
Well,
They could
nice.
act. That's how it ends. Michael Myers wins over Jason.
Michael's gonna run his ass over.
Yeah, well, absolutely. That's
Watch out, Jason.
yo, love that show.
Yeah.
The original Halloween's a banger movie.
So good. I want them to both be fighting while they're on fire at some point. That'd be sick.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Reboot.
He's not paying attention. No, he's playing his fucking Switch. He does
Yeah,
not
he's-
give a
he's-
shit about this.
What
He's,
what's
he's
Remaster playing?
absolutely going
What
to
games
die.
he playing?
He's absolutely gonna die next. He's gonna die next.
Yeah.
I knew it. I called it.
Larry's the psychic.
Fire. I guess I gotta wave bye bye to Jocelyn next.
And that's why he's awesome.
He just
Yeah.
is.
He's scary when he doesn't have a motive. He just fucking kills shit for giggles. Not giggles. He doesn't laugh.
Move faster than a motion sensor could detect. Ooh.
Oh, watch out, Jason. God, this is so cool. I know I said that before, but Jesus.
More
Almost.
teleportation.
Aren't those weight based? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight. This was written before Ends, wasn't it? I've heard he kind of dies in that one.
Oh, spoiler.
It's literally called Halloween Ends.
Oh boy. All right.
Oh.
Yo, oh, I like that.
Okay.
I
Oh,
like
Blue Jason.
the
This is so
Let's
cool.
go.
I'm literally the Star Wars soy face guy right now.
I love the filter that
Was
they
that
got.
Pamela?
Yeah, it's Pamela.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I saw someone complaining that there was like clipping through in the models, and I honestly like if you were able to spot any clipping here, You've got way better eyes than mine, because I genuinely
Get away from
cannot
Michael.
see it.
Oh, she's dead. Look at all that Hawaiian punch.
The community guidelines are pretty
Wait, huh? I didn't do this.
What the fuck?
That's
Watch
not
out,
what I'm
Jason.
doing. Oh shit!
Oh, this looks good.
The preview ended before this, by the
Oh, they're
way.
going fast.
Okay.
Bruce Williams.
Friendly tree?
Oh, what the?
Shut up,
Oh,
Jason.
that's it.
K.O.
Yep. KO.
Oh, this guy's coming in to
Winner
save the
is
day.
Michael.
Oh, more,
Hello.
That's
More
cool.
civilians.
Hey, Michael, your knife.
oh, are we getting
Mine's
zombie?
frozen up,
Is he gonna turn into zombie Jason?
Why would you leave that?
Oh, I
Why would
could
you
use
leave that
this.
behind? Come on, guy.
You should have grabbed that on your way. It wouldn't have helped you, but at least he wouldn't have had it.
Oh, where's
Oh,
the
this-
Michael jump scare?
I like this. They're doing the tension and
Then
shit.
Jason pops out. Oh.
What
Oh,
Let
he's-
him go.
the
What?
fuck? This
What?
fucking Dead by Daylight ass shit. Now he's running faster. Come on, just
This
run
is
him
just
over.
playing out like a fucking slasher film. That's so cool. They're barely concerned of each other. They're
How
just
is
trying to
this
keep
man
up
still
with Michael.
running? Didn't he get slashed with an axe?
They're fighting while this dude's running away.
He's gonna be just fine.
He's gonna be just
Get
fine.
him! Hey, he's a tombstone.
Hey.
Oh,
Oh,
oh, Jason. Oh, there he is. There she is.
oh,
Was
so
there?
Jason wasn't really giving it his all before because Pamela hadn't told him to. Oh.
Oh no. KO.
Oh shit!
Oh, they're just fucking.
Yeah!
Good job,
There
Jason.
we go.
Dang.
Yeah.
Whoa, Jason 1, can't believe this. That
Evil
wasn't the
died.
best of the season, but I really like that.
It's not a favorite of mine, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, this is.
I'll be honest, my end was entirely lagged out, so I barely saw any of that, unfortunately.
Why did you say anything, you Kunjai?
Because you were all enjoying it.
I think the animation was a little janky, but that's just kind of a thing with the like close quarter characters.
But Jason took Manhattan.
Shut up.
never mind, I'm gonna shut up.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
I saw a Dead by Daylight black box.
They said that in Dead by Daylight he could have some abilities that could mess with his healing, but
Oh, similar.
God, I really like this one. I really liked how the fight
Oh,
was just
shit.
a slasher film, just a little short one.
Where's Jocelyn? She must be off in
She
her
just
death
left.
battle.
She didn't actually get couch or anything. She just fucking left.
Deadpool.
Oh, Jason's just gonna kill him.
Oh,
Alright, come
I
on,
love
Gru
that.
versus Megamind. Hit us with Gru versus Megamind.
it's not that. It's
It's
gonna be
probably
Sauron.
gonna be
It's
Sauron.
not
It's gonna be
Sauron.
Sauron.
It's
it's
Sauron.
not gonna happen.
Just
It's
saw it.
Sauron.
Okay.
Sauron versus Voldemort, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's Sauron.
Yeah, look.
Sauron versus
Oh,
is that
oh,
yeah,
Lich
Lich
King.
King.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a Lich King.
Thank God.
Neat.
Neat.
That was
I really
that was
like
good.